Deep inside the collapsing walls of forgotten estates, you can sometimes find relics left behind by the ultra-wealthy. These are rooms where the grandeur has faded into rotting floorboards and scattered debris. Occasionally, buried under those collapsed roofs, sits a once priceless piece of engineering. Over decades of exposure to moisture and fluctuating temperatures, a beautiful early 20th century luxury vehicle can be completely consumed by rust. The state of the metal has changed. Moving parts like pistons, gears, and carburetors, once designed for fluid, high-speed movement, are now fused into solid, seized blocks of iron. To anyone else, it looks like worthless scrap destined for the crusher. But to a master restorer, this is a buried time capsule holding the blueprint for a luxury revival. Restoring a vehicle from the early 1900s, like this 1912 Liberty Brush runabout, presents a unique challenge. You cannot simply order replacement parts for machines that were hand-assembled long before standardized supply chains existed. The central enemy is oxidation. When moisture hits bare steel, oxygen molecules bond with the iron. Over a century, this reaction forms a thick, jagged crystalline layer that welds separate components together at a microscopic level. Because of that tight bond, you cannot use brute mechanical force to break the parts loose. Striking a century-old cast iron engine block with a heavy hammer can instantly shatter the fragile, irreplaceable metal underneath. That is where the craftsmen at AMR Garage step in. They approach these lost vehicles with extreme patience, using hyper-focused, sensory-driven techniques, often captured in satisfying ASMR-style workflows, to gently coax the metal apart. Because the damage is so extensive, the restoration becomes a meticulous effort to save the original material before the metal is lost to the environment entirely. The process begins with extraction. When a vehicle's structural integrity has been compromised by rot, even moving it onto a transport trailer requires extreme care to prevent the chassis from snapping under its own weight. Once inside the shop, the teardown begins. Every turn of a wrench carries the risk of destroying a part that hasn't been manufactured in 100 years. To safely separate seized bolts, restorers rely on chemistry and physics. They apply penetrating fluids and precise bursts of intense heat to rapidly expand and contract the metal. This allows the oil to seep into the microscopic threads and fracture the rust bonds without breaking the original steel. Every single bracket, screw, and washer must be mapped and cataloged. There are no modern instruction manuals or digital schematics for these hand-assembled machines. This surgical deconstruction is the only way to accurately map the vehicle's unique historical DNA before the physical healing of the metal can begin. With the vehicle completely dismantled, the team enters the remediation phase. This is the step where the years of rot are actively stripped away. Instead of scraping by hand, restorers use media blasting. They fire fine abrasive particles at high velocity across the corrupted surfaces, peeling back decades of thick corrosion to reveal the bare, virgin steel hiding underneath. For the components that are completely lost to time, off-the-shelf replacements do not exist. The craftsman must step up to the lathe, milling brand-new, era-accurate parts from raw blocks of aluminum and steel. This attention to detail extends into the engine's vascular system. The cylinders are precisely honed to handle combustion once again, and the raw metal fuel lines, brass fixtures, and copper piping are polished to a brilliant finish. There is a distinct auditory rhythm to this work. The consistent, deliberate sounds of sanding, scraping, and machining bare metal create the relaxing, sensory experience that defines the ASMR restoration process. This combination of abrasive cleaning and precise machining reverses the effects of long-term storage, returning the metal to its functional state. Next comes reassembly. The team is now faced with the task of perfectly synchronizing thousands of newly restored individual pieces. For an early 20th century engine to fire up and run smoothly, the physical tolerances must be incredibly tight. Valves, timing gears, and pistons have to align within fractions of a millimeter. Beyond the heavy cast iron, the interior has to be reconstructed from scratch. This requires integrating fresh, hand-stitched red leathers, deeply lacquered wooden dashboards, and intricate steering controls. Connecting the final linkages and fitting the interior marks the transition from a collection of restored parts back into a single operational machine. The final result is a vehicle restored to its original opulence, perfectly functional and visually pristine, like this breathtaking white Bugatti Royale. When you look at the sleek, sweeping fenders and the shining grille, it is difficult to connect this masterpiece to the buried, rusted husk sitting in a collapsed garage just months earlier. The team at AMR Garage is performing more than mechanical repairs. They are saving automotive history from total erasure. True luxury is found in the extreme patience and the relentless human craftsmanship capable of unearthing such brilliant beauty from absolute ruin.